Greetings, I'm George Friday. I staff United for Peace and Justice. I want to invite you to think about your work, the work you do now or the work you've done in the past, and evaluation. Were you ever rewarded in an evaluation for making poor decisions, putting your coworkers in harm's way, failing at key assignments, and defiling your work area over and over again? No? So that is how our military performs. They perform poorly, they fail at key assignments, they use resources badly, and defile the areas where they are. So why would we allow the military budget to grow every year to obscene proportions? We must slash the military budget by at least 50%. And thank you for helping us accomplish that.
My name is Jackie Cabasso. I'm the Executive Director of the Western States Legal Foundation in Oakland, California, working for peace and justice in a nuclear-free world. According to a report by the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, in 2020, the 9 nuclear-armed states spent $72.6 billion on nuclear weapons, with the U.S. leading the pack at $37.4 billion, or $70,881 per minute. Yet nuclear weapons were worse than worthless in preventing and containing the COVID-19 pandemic. What we need instead is unprecedented worldwide cooperation to eradicate the virus and prepare for future pandemics, and to address a cascade of converging crises, including climate change, poverty, racism, and rising authoritarian nationalisms. That's why we're supporting the Cut the Pentagon campaign.
Hi, my name is Tsukuru Force, and I support this campaign, Cut the Pentagon Budget. Why? Because it's a matter of priority. This country has so many other things we should be spending our money on, such as healthcare, providing education, housing, and developing new industries for the future, such as renewable energies and sustainable agriculture. So there are so many things that we could be doing with the money that we spend on bombing other countries and causing death. So let's support this campaign, Cut the Pentagon Budget. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carly Town, and I'm one of the national co-directors at CODEPINK. Many people agree that our national budget priorities are completely out of whack. We spend way too much money funding the military and not enough funding healthcare, green jobs, and infrastructure. But what can we actually do about that? Well, first, let's talk a little bit about military spending in the United States. In 2021, we will spend over $740 billion on the Pentagon budget, which means we will spend over $1 million a minute on military funding. But where does all of that money actually go? Well, more than half goes directly into the pockets of private companies that contract with the federal government to turn a profit to prepare for war. Those same companies turn around and donate to politicians to make sure that when it comes time to approve military funding every year through the National Defense Authorization Act, our politicians are beholden to the same corporate interests that propelled them to victory. Not surprisingly, a recent study by the Security Policy Reform Institute found a positive correlation between members of Congress who take campaign contributions from weapons manufacturers and voting to increase the Pentagon budget. This vicious cycle plays out year after year, which is one reason why, despite broad public support to cut the Pentagon budget, our politicians continue to siphon our tax dollars into an increasingly bloated military budget. Thankfully, there's something we can actually do about that. If we want our politicians to start listening to popular opinion, we have to stop allowing them to be bought and sold by the war industry. It's as simple as that. You can bring the Code Pink pledge to stop taking campaign contributions from the top 5 weapons manufacturers to your congressional representatives and demand that they commit to cutting the Pentagon budget for people, planet, and peace. If we really are committed to cutting the Pentagon for people, peace, and planet, we have to follow the money. Take our Code Pink pledge to divest your congressperson to their office today. Go to codepink.org/divestcongress. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Madison Tang. I'm the coordinator of the China is Not Our Enemy campaign at CODEPINK, and we're working to oppose the U.S.'s next major war by dismantling and challenging U.S. aggression towards China. Now that the public has seen the senselessness of spending over $6 trillion on the U.S.'s global war on terror, we cannot sit back and allow our government to continue profiting off of protracted wars and cycles of violence through its pivot to Asia foreign policy. So our demand with the CODEPINK National Cut the Pentagon campaign is clear. Cut the Pentagon budget and redirect these trillions of dollars to building a better, more peaceful, more sustainable future for U.S. citizens and the people of the planet. Our Cut the Pentagon campaign is a vital part of preventing war with China. By reducing the Pentagon budget by half, we can drastically reduce funding for new weapons, ship, and troop deployments in the Asia-Pacific region, ensuring the safety of humanity and our environment and preventing catastrophic, potentially nuclear war in the process. The Biden administration and Congress are explicitly using the perceived and grossly inflated threat of China as a justification for the record-high proposed $740 billion plus Pentagon budget, including over $66 billion for the Indo-Pacific or Asia-Pacific region. Additionally, over $7 billion would be allocated to the Department of Defense through the extension of the Asia Reassurance Initiative Act within the House's yet to be voted on H.R. 3524, the Eagle Act bill. The Department of Defense has named China as its, quote, #1 pacing challenge as it continues war profiteering and instigating more destructive U.S.-led wars, this time with China. As our military surrounds China's borders with hypersonic and ballistic missiles and engages in dangerous joint force military exercises with allied nations daily, we can prevent this war from escalating and turning nuclear by refusing to accept the dangerous and often highly racialized justifications our elected leaders give us and our think tanks give us, that the U.S. always has a foreign enemy that needs to be aggressed upon. The truth is that the U.S. empire creates enemies to fuel its blood-stained war economy. So join us today as we say no to a U.S. hybrid war on China and all the anti-Asian hatred that it involves, and call for Congress to cut the Pentagon.
Many activists, and to take them at their word, even many Congress members, want military spending dramatically reduced and moved into useful spending areas. You can get dozens of Congress members and hundreds of peace groups to sign letters or support bills to reduce military spending by 10%. But when President Biden proposed to increase military spending, some leading progressive Congress members staked out as a starting point a position in support of his proposal for a 1.6% increase over last year's Pentagon budget. A reduction is favored by the majority of the people who pay for all these wars, supposedly for democracy. And we shouldn't be confining our requests of Congress members to signing letters or sponsoring hopelessly good bills or joining well-named caucuses. We should be insisting that they publicly and emphatically commit to voting no on any bill that funds military spending at more than 90% of last year's level. In July of last year, 93 Congress members voted to cut military spending by 10%. Did they mean it? If Republicans oppose the upcoming military spending bill for their own bizarre reasons, it would take only 5 of those 93 insisting on reducing spending to halt or reshape that bill. Right now, there are 5 co-sponsors of a non-binding resolution to move 50% out of the Pentagon's budget. Do they mean it?
Hey everyone, my name is Tope Falarin and I'm the new Executive Director at the Institute for Policy Studies. And we are simply honored to be asked by one of IPS's closest allies for 2 decades to join this movement at this moment. We were with CODEPINK when they first came together and we've been with CODEPINK ever since. IPS continues to stand for ending wars abroad and building real democracy at home. That means cutting back what IPS's co-founder Mark Raskin first called the national security state decades ago. All the agencies of government that were created for or have been twisted to support perpetual war. IPS has always fought for transforming those institutions away from war towards diplomacy, international law, and peace. The US war in Afghanistan just ended, so we should start this campaign by demanding that the $6 billion in war funding left over from that conflict should be immediately used for humanitarian aid to Afghans, which means refugees and those inside the country. In recent years, IPS has worked with the Poor People's Campaign and CODEPINK to make the case for cutting war spending by $350 billion a year. We have shown how doing this will actually make the US and the world safer, greener, and more secure. And just a few days ago, IPS's National Priorities Project released a report that shows the US has spent $21 trillion on militarism abroad and on militarization of our police and borders at home in the 20 years since 9/11. We look forward to working with CODEPINK and with hundreds of other organizations to pressure Congress to finally cut Pentagon spending and cut the militarization budget at the Department of Homeland Security. I'd like to thank my friends at CODEPINK and all of you for all you do, and we're looking forward to working with all of you in the future. Thank you so much.